Good Wednesday morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing this Wednesday, October 11th. Taking a look at precipitation over the past week, you can see we had some decent measurable amounts across parts of north central Nevada and pushing up into Idaho. The green areas are over a half inch, the darker blues a quarter to a half inch, lighter amounts as you push further to the east and nothing to the south. Overall, most areas were below normal precipitation-wise, except in some of those areas in central Nevada and up into parts of southern Idaho. Some of that was in the form of snowfall. In the past 72 hours, we did have some light snowfall amounts, 1 to 2 inches here in some parts of northern Nevada. A little bit heavier, more in that 4 to 6 inch range across the higher elevations of the Uintas, and some light amounts up in Idaho and parts of far western Wyoming as well. In terms of snow cover on the ground, we still have some across some of the higher terrain of central Utah and up into the Uintas, and still hanging in with some snow cover, creating some stronger low-level inversions and covering surface fuels across some of the higher terrain of central Idaho and especially still into western Wyoming. Looking at satellite imagery with upper-level map superimposed, a midwinter style low-pressure system now pushing down into the Pacific Northwest. Rains and mountain snows for those areas, and that precipitation will be pushing into Idaho and eventually Wyoming later in the next 24 hours. We have a trailing cold front along with this system. Cooler air coming in. Also stronger winds, as you can tell by the packing of these height lines. The tighter the lines, the stronger the wind flow. That should help dispersion in just about all areas. A look at the overall weather map for this afternoon, Wednesday. You see with that deep low pressure, strong wind flow in the upper levels, also moisture pushing up through the Pacific Northwest. That's creating excellent dispersion conditions along with the winds and also good mixing heights across just about all areas. Taking a look specifically at transport winds, they'll be coming up out of the west and from the south across Nevada, and especially stronger from the south-southwest as you head into parts of western Utah ahead of the front. Some of those gusts here in the purple could be over 40 miles per hour. And taking a peek further down the road through here on the mixing heights, overall very good mixing heights, several thousand feet above ground level in most areas except for some isolated deeper canyons. A look at Thursday, we do see that the storm system Pacific Northwest plows a bit further in, so the mountains of central Idaho should start getting precipitation. These height lines are cold enough for snow above about 5,000 feet. Strong winds elsewhere across parts of Nevada and Utah and the Arizona Strip. Overall dispersion should be good. Some high clouds could limit the daytime heating, and that could create some locally lower dispersion indices here across parts of Nevada. If we look specifically, the transport winds will be dying down with some of that cloud cover, but the vertical mixing still a couple of thousand feet above ground levels, much better as you head towards the yellow and orange colors further to the east. Looking down the road for Friday, we see that storm system deepens as it plows into Utah, so good precipitation through here, still strong winds, overall pretty good dispersion conditions in that kind of a pattern. And then looking at Friday in terms of transport winds and mixing heights, strong transport winds in our northern and central areas, good vertical dispersion. Specifically for Utah, the Utah Clearing Index, also a dispersion index that factors in both vertical mixing and wind. Excellent for today where you see areas in the red, green and bluish areas. Some valleys could hold on some inversions. With some cold air coming in behind a cold front on Thursday, we could see some lessening of dispersion conditions as cold air traps some of the pollutants closer to the ground, but that should improve again on Friday in this weather pattern. So our 3-day precipitation accumulation, mainly north of the Nevada border up into Utah, I could see a quarter to a half inch locally, and that could be 3 to 6 inches of snowfall in a lot of the higher terrain pushing into western Wyoming. Otherwise, most areas of the south stay dry. Taking a quick peek further down the road as we go into Saturday. Dry air punches in, the storm system leaves Idaho and Wyoming, so we start warming up a little bit. Overall, still some good ventilation here on the right-hand side, except starting to decrease a little bit across Nevada. And as high pressure starts to build in, we'll see the upper level winds decrease a little bit. Overall dispersion starts to decrease as well, especially across our northern areas. And then Monday, high pressure builds in, so we start warming up to above normal conditions. So the weather should be pretty nice, but with that high pressure building in, winds will decrease. That'll start creating a bit more in way of stronger morning inversions, which will take longer to burn off. So overall, the dispersion index will start going down a little bit, and that'll continue the trend. But we have a change in the pattern as another low pressure system in the front starts pushing into the Pacific Northwest by Tuesday, and that should bring better dispersion conditions and also some precipitation. As we go further down the road, precipitation-wise, these are days 4 and 5. So this is basically Saturday morning through Monday morning. So through the weekend, no precipitation expected across the Great Basin. And our 8 to 14 day outlook, October 18th to the 24th, cooler than normal temperatures across most areas, especially northern areas up in Idaho, and that's in association with a strengthening Pacific storm system track that's going to be affecting the northern tier states in the Pacific Northwest and into Idaho as well, and maybe trailing into northern areas of Nevada. So that's our pattern for the future. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day. Our next smoke briefing will be coming up this Friday.